All right, everybody, here with Morgan to
Hi.
talk about his team. I almost told you this when we were talking, kind of getting this set up, but then I decided not to. So I'll tell you now. I really think we need to we need to continue to have you at the end of these things or at the beginning, because I feel like your conversations are always like such a statement. I'm really excited. You're number 8. I think Unicorn and I are going right after this. Like Unicorn's almost on standby, basically. And then Rick apparently is loves his wife, and he took her to the city for a couple days, but he's not around. Hey, Mix is on a family trip, and Alan is on a work trip. So I think this is the second to last interview of the series. We'll still catch up with them, hopefully, but I feel like the main chunk, this is towards the end, and I feel like it's a good one to end on or be part of the end with, just because of how profound you are with your statements. I think is the best way to. So
Well, that's simply why they won't win this year. They don't have their priorities in the right spot. They're
yes,
not
to
worrying about
everybody.
what's important.
And that's a blanket statement, right? That goes to anybody that's in
Yes.
the Luck Cardinals. Which, as
Yep.
you mentioned, as we were
hmm
getting on wearing your Luck Cardinals shirt with
I
football
am.
season
I
right
am
around
the
the
one
corner.
single one that they gave me.
It still counts. You said football season start. When is the first practice? You said was it tomorrow or is it soon?
Uh, Next Monday we have
That's
a
what it was.
youth
Monday.
camp. So all the kids, 6th grade and below, we just do a 2-hour youth skills camp with them. That's mostly led by the players. Um, and then after that we have a short 2-hour practice, and then from that point on it's basically two 2.5-hour practices with a half-hour break in between.
Hmm. Okay.
So for about
And
two
then
weeks we scrimmage, and then it's a game week.
yeah. I told you this before we started recording, so don't judge me for saying the exact same thing again. But please keep us updated. I feel like a lot of us are really invested in like I just remember you and Vic talking about it a lot in the chat and like code popping in, and I don't know. I'm living through you vicariously as you kind of do this 8-man football thing, especially as a guy who not prefers defense over offense, but like as someone who's always gravitated to the defensive side of things. Um, I'm just curious as to how it goes and what it looks like and all those things. So please, please, please keep us. Um, let's talk about your team. So we've already, at this point, the viewers have already seen Cam's interview's out. It came out yesterday, so we saw some of his results. Chase's interview will be out by the time that this airs, so people have seen those, but you haven't. So this really does make it a blind reveal for you in terms of where your team is projected and what people are thinking. And it is interesting. There's a lot to unpack here, and so I'm excited to get going with you. How do you think your projected finish in the division looks like from the league? We all know that you believe that you're in first. You've been very confident in that. What do you think the rest of the league thinks? Do you think they feel similarly? Do you think that it's not so much, or somewhere in between?
I thought going into it when I was watching Cam's that it was going to be the league was going to have um, me and him 1 and 2, me and Chase
Uh-huh.
1 and 2, and I thought the league would have Cam in third and second, kind of. So given that Cam's like that, and I know that everybody's high on Chase's team, if I had to guess, there's going to be one in first place, which is going to be me. I'm my best fan. Everybody else is my biggest haters. Uh, Maybe 1 or 2 in second place, the vast majority in third, and then Cam's got me in fourth place.
So you were very close, slightly different, but awfully close. You do have yourself in first place.
Oh, okay.
You've got
I gave myself
nine
too much
teams,
credit.
9 teams saying you're in third place, and 2 teams saying you're in fourth. But I wonder how much of this is recency bias. And I know 3 years isn't necessarily recency because it's a long period of time. But, do you think that this is just a lot of people saying Cam's had 3 years of success and your team has had 3 years of momentum, and this is the year to put it together? But since we haven't seen it, we've seen it with Cam. That's why, is that kind of your perspective? Because Cam and Chase, by the way, both are saying this is a 3-team division. No offense to Rick, that this is a 3-team division, and they both view you as an equal team. But here we are with 9 teams putting you in 3rd place.
I think going into last year, I talked a lot of shit, and I think
Wait, you did?
It didn't.
No.
Oh
no.
And I think there's a difficulty there because I think my team would have been great if Devontae Adams didn't hurt his ankle. Hating playing for the Raiders. His ankle hated that turf, so he just wouldn't play on it.
Right.
If Puka doesn't go out for an extended period of time, if Nico Collins doesn't go out, I kind of had this rash of injuries where, like, we talk about depth versus stars, and you guys talked about that in your most recent one with codes, but I try to have depth. The hard part is when your depth gets stressed, right? And now you're like, oh yeah, I have to play my 6th or 7th receiver.
Right.
Because that also means you're playing your 6th, your 5th, and your 4th receivers as well.
Right.
When you ideally want to be only getting to probably your 4th receiver.
Yeah, 4th, maybe the 5th on a bye week or for that last flex spot kind of thing.
So that is where it screwed me, right? Where I ended up in a dogfight with you, right? Where I barely beat you when, prior evidence would have been that I should have, nuked you into the sun.
Right.
Right? Going to the extra pick bracket, I think that's more telltale where my thing is. I lost to Chase in a 2-1, but if you look at that, we were the highest scoring teams throughout those weeks.
Yeah, like it was all there, and you guys were putting up like 170 in the playoff finals and some of those games. It was just like, obviously you still watch the finals, right? But you pay attention to what's going on in the extra pick bracket. You're like, wait a minute, these guys aren't like, from an outside looking in. 217.1 to your 198.9. Week before that, 186, 167. Like you guys were dropping bombs on each other. You won the first week, which isn't recorded because you're on a bye in the way that Sleeper has the bracket. But Chase put up 146. I'm sure you put up something even more. You must have put up at least 160 or so. You guys were absolutely throwing hammers at each other when our finals and 3rd place game, based off the points. Chase scored the most points in the final week. You scored the most points. And then it was Cam. You beat Cam by over 10 points, who won the thing. So the trajectory is there. We've seen proof of concept now. Plus, you add the fact that you are very proud of how you draft and had picks and all those things. You've added even more talent with that. You've added more talent in free agency. And you still have, as you said, the 2nd most cap space going into the year. Not that there's going to be, in Dynasty, it's not like you're finding players on the waiver wire like you would in redraft, but, if anybody wants a player, you theoretically have first dibs, except for Rick, but Rick has not spent money the way that we thought he might. So, theoretically, I feel like you're first in that pecking order in terms of if there's somebody else out there.
And I picked up that Arian Smith, right? And I paid 6 for him. So I think, it's not like I'm throwing down money, but a bunch of people are just going to bid $1 or $2 because that's all they can. And I'll put down 6 because I can easily cut him for free then, but I have that flexibility to do that. Speaking of which, finding a 4th round receiver, as much as he's on the Jets, which is, a scary thing.
That's the problem.
That was crazy to me that I could find him on the waiver wire.
Yeah. Cam has $7. Chase is $2. So that's a massive advantage you have over your division mates too. So if you feel like they're going for it, you can go ahead and just bid 8 to secure it. Code and Vic with 23 each. I have 19. Browna has 20. Pandas have 1. Lynn has 14. So like, there's not a lot left for teams. They don't have the ability to put 6 down, which is a free cut still. They don't have the ability to do that as easily as you do. Well, let's talk more about your ranking. So we kind of see the 3rd place is the overwhelming majority here. Do you think that means teams have you locked into the toilet bowl? Any predictions on how many teams have said you're a lock? And again, the wording was 100% guaranteed to be in the toilet bowl. Not, I could see a world where you end up there, right? Because there's really a world where if you squint, you could see 8 or 9 teams there. But this is saying 100% can be in the toilet bowl. Do you think that teams followed up the alleged disrespect with the third place with a bunch of votes in the toilet bowl, or not so much?
I think Cam probably did, but I think our division is too stacked to look at that. You know, it's talked about as division of death. So I think people are going to view third place as either an outside playoff or in the extra pick. Not in the toilet bowl, but if I had to guess, there's one, maybe two with the fourth place, the second vote, fourth place vote. But if I had to guess, it was mostly just Cam would be the one.
I'm going to go pull up Cam's result. I'll tell you what he said. Why not?
Yeah, let's be public with it, Cam, you fucking coward.
One team says you're in the toilet bowl and locked into it.
And that's Cam, I guarantee it.
It is not. It is not Cam. Cam only voted one team in the toilet bowl. And we saw who that was. He only voted Nate as a guaranteed toilet bowl spot. Actually, by the way, just for fun, Cam said he thinks you come in third place in the division. So
okay, so two other people are my biggest haters, and then I've got Cam.
Yeah, so
Cam is somehow the one putting respect on my name out of this whole group.
I think deep down you guys like each other. He threw you a compliment in the interview, and he gave you good things here, and I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. Any teams thinking that you're a lock for the playoff bracket? Any guesses on how many voted you to be a lock for the playoffs? Cam did not vote for you to be a lock for the playoffs bracket, so there's that. But he also doesn't think you're a lock for the toilet bowl. I think you're a playoff team. You know, how many people do you think said that you're a lock for the playoffs, though?
I'm gonna go with two. One being me, because I'm a lock to win this thing this year.
Two, right on the money. Again, two perfect predictions with how many in the toilet bowl into the playoffs. Maybe wrong on the people, but yeah. I wonder if I can quickly see that they think you're good for the playoffs. If I can find it pretty. I don't think I'll be able to. Oh well. And then championship. I think did you pick yourself for the championship?
That's got to be myself. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm winning this thing. Listen, this is the year. I'm putting food on this fucking table. Okay, my family's gonna eat good.
For the first time in 3 years.
Yeah, we're gonna eat. We're gonna actually have food on the table.
There you go.
And it'll be warm too.
Warm this time, as opposed to like a cold can of lima beans.
Baked beans, yeah.
Baked beans are also good. So I like looking at that because it tells a story to me. There's so many people putting you in third, but nobody confident to say, except for one team, nobody confident to say that you're a toilet bowl team. Nobody confident to say that you're a playoff team. And so it kind of puts you in this position where your range of outcomes is really wide. And so when this happens, I feel like sometimes the person controlling the team could make decisions to push them, to a rebuild or to in. And you're very clearly saying, and have said and will continue to say, you're winning this thing. But you're also not doing it in a foolish way where you're trading away young assets. Like you have the youth and the depth to replace pieces and all that type of stuff. So you're taking a different approach to it. How excited are you to kind of go through these first couple weeks where you're playing Cam and Chase and really kind of testing your team against your division mates?
Well, we'll see how the rest of the offseason goes. Right now, I'm really excited. Isaac Tesla caught 2 balls for 46 yards, and I thought, wow, is he going to be a stud? Probably not right away, but I'm hoping near the end of the year. You talk about Cam's talking about these league winners, right, and how everybody's going to win. Well, you forget about guys like Isaac Tesla, who knows if the Lions are deep into the year and J-Mo goes down, who was on my team or something, but say Amon-Ra goes down and they got to put somebody out there and it's Isaac Tesla and he gets thrown at, so I think I have a decent amount of those guys that could perform late. My roster is built, pretty young. I don't think I'm the youngest team, but I got to be one of the youngest teams. And, you look at my free agents, there's nobody that I'm going to have to re-sign, I don't think, after this year. It really, there's a lot to judge there, but there's not anybody who you're like, that's an absolute have to bring him back. Probably the most likely is going to be Pacheco, but he's a question mark,
Yeah.
So all around, I felt like
there.
I felt like my weakness last year was my running back position because I kind of had Brian Robinson, and he was like the guy that I could kind of start every single week, and he'd be a solid 10, 14 points ish. But then my second running back was just a nightmare. So I just poured a bunch of stuff into that. And I'm really hoping Omarion Hampton takes off, really hoping Caleb Johnson becomes a solid runner. And I'm really hoping that Aaron Jones is continuing to do what he does. And if he gets hurt, which he always does, I picked up Jordan Mason. You know, I think Jordan Mason is one of those really valuable handcuffs because the guy he's behind is just a guy who gets injured a lot. So I think I have decent depth along the receivers. I think I've kept that going. I feel like that strength is there. And obviously, the QBs are all of a sudden a strength because I got Jaden Daniels and
Baker.
Baker Mayfield. And, you can't forget Hendon Hooker,
The GOAT.
who's a stud. But then you've got J.J. McCarthy,
the stud
who,
that you'll
my
take
wife...
the latest 4th round pick for. I was kidding.
If anybody wants to give me a 4th round pick for Hendon Hooker, I will pay for over half of his contract. I will do that. The price goes up when Jared Goff breaks a leg, though, so you might want to get him now.
So give me that.
Yeah.
I'm
pony up.
By the way, I'm not trying to be rude. If you notice, I'm not looking at you. I'm trying so hard. There's a way on Sleeper to like view the average age of teams, and I don't remember how it works at all. But I am desperately pushing every button I can find on Sleeper to try to figure it out.
I saw that
let you know.
in summer school. I was just playing on my phone and I saw that. I got to be in like the bottom 3 or 4.
That's what I would love to validate that for
page.
you, but I cannot figure it out. There is a new thing, league tracker dues. That's kind of cool. Track dues for people. This way you can yell at people for everybody that sucks in other leagues. We don't have that issue, but other leagues do.
I'm sure.
There's a way, and I'm gonna figure it out. And then when I do, I'll let you know where you kind of sit, because I feel like your team does fall in a very young category. And not only that, even if they're not a young category, like the other thing that I think that we touch on sometimes is how long you still retain your players for versus other teams. Like if I pull this back up again, you still have 26 players on the roster going into next year, 250 in cap space, which is pretty average. But, you look at Chase, who's got, about $200 more than you, still has 10 players he needs to figure out. Same with Rick, is about $150 more than you, still has 10 players he needs. Cam, with only 9 players on the roster, negative $250. So you have, I think, if I'm not mistaken, by far the most retained players through next year. Yeah, second closest to you is Nate with 19. And we talked with Nate recently, and no offense to Nate, but a lot of his guys are, this is a just in case, and I'm trying to see what happens here, whereas a lot of your guys are more depth as opposed to, I might as well sign this guy for 2 years because my team isn't going to be any players. So.
Well, I never understood the meta change with Chase, where he was like, let's sign him to 3 years or whatever. Like, I never got that, because I'm like, you can have team control, and there's so much ability to make flexibility for you. Because until you go things to dead cap, which you can't get rid of, there's a lot of flexibility to go around it, as long as you're not going to be crazy. I've got some relatively expensive contracts. I got Baker Mayfield and I've got stuff like that, but I think I've done a good job of like front loading some stuff. So Baker Mayfield, I made him cost 100 this year. He costs 61 next year. You look at 250 and you say that's average, but I look at that and I look at the guys that, the guys that are like for sure roster moves, roster movable guys would be these, 7, 8, 9 guys, and not in there do I see one where it's like that's an absolute have to use a roster move on him kind of guy. I could have a couple holdouts, that's for sure, but most of my holdout potential guys are pretty protected. Puka Nacua might not be, but I have the stuff to do that, and I'm not going to be pinched by any roster moves. And we'll see how that looks out, because we got a whole 18-week season here to go, but
really that 250, it might be $200 less than anybody else, but that's a liquid 250. Somebody else's $400 might be they've got to re-sign a Lamar Jackson, they've got a restricted free agent Joe Burrow, they've got to do these things to hang on to this guy. Your 250 is whatever you want with it versus that that's being reinvested immediately into somebody else. That's a fun way to look at it. I did figure out the thing. It's so you can only see each individual team. The league average age is 25.6. And so I'm being currently yelled at by Sleeper that my team is too old across the board, by the way. But if you go to your team tab on Sleeper, and then the top right corner, it's like a little bar graph. You can see it. You can see your players' age, experience in the NFL, and their zodiac sign. 20 years for Aaron Rodgers, Jesus. And their team zodiac sign as well. So just a fun fact for you there. But yeah, you can't see anything else. But yeah, there you go.
My average age is 24. Yeah, so I'm under under the league average.
Pretty good chunk below the league average. You're a year under. I'm a year over. So that's why Sleeper's mad at me. And probably why Sleeper's happy with you. Probably some happy emojis.
It's all in the green.
Yeah, there you go. That's all you can ask for. Any final thoughts as we wrap this up? I think success for you is winning the championship, right? That's kind of what you've pointed towards as well. But
I think success for me is getting to the playoffs for the first time. If this is a Kickstarter, a stretch goal of winning a playoff game, which I think we're more than capable to do. And then my hope is to win the championship, right? Like that's the ultimate goal. But if I look back on this season and I made the playoffs, I can say this is working, and I can see the growth happening. If I end up in the toilet bowl, which would be crazy, or if I end up in the extra pick bracket, I might need to change my strategy a little bit. But I don't expect that to happen. I expect to make the playoffs. I don't think it's I don't view Cam as that big of a challenge as people think he's going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. But Rick has a bust at quarter. He's got two busts as starting quarterbacks and a guy who's got a wheelchair to get on the field. So I don't know what he's going to be fielding. I think it's quite literally just be between me and Chase, and I think that's going to be a really big thing to watch. I think that's the premier battle. Now watch me go out and just lay an egg against Rick, and my team sucks. But
well, who knows?
I don't imagine that'll happen.
You'll find out pretty quickly playing him early on in the season, of course, and you do play him week 1, so. Projected to win by 20 points as of right now, but projections are a lie.
We'll see if Rick watches this long. This camera helped me out that he got me because I had to take an AP, like how to teach an advanced placement class, because I haven't taught one and I'm teaching one this year at Luck, and I needed a camera. So thanks, Rick, for helping me literally professionally.
Shout out, Rick.
To not have to go buy a camera.
Rick, professionally, I just took a job working for DoorDash. I need a new car. So maybe you can help me out.
Preferably a 2026 model here in about 2 years when they release those.
Yeah, exactly. And, 100,000 plus. I'm not picky after that. Just nothing red either because it makes your car insurance go up. All right, that'll do it for us. Good talking to you, Morgan, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, see you.